Hi everyone, my name is Calista Lopez and I'm a senior studying anthropology with a minor in peace studies. The research I'm presenting you today is called Tensions at Marquette, Muralism. So Marquette's Committee on Equity and Inclusion conducted a cultural audit of the built campus environment in the fall of 2019. This survey audit was intended to understand how students and faculty felt about the degree of welcomeness the physical campus environment provided. The committee had gathered that many people felt a lack of diverse representation and general absence of any art that created a sense of warmth or color. Since then, a mural was contracted by Marquette to be painted on the side of our city theater, which would be chosen from an open voting poll. Artist Mauricio Ramirez's proposal was chosen, which would feature two women of color surrounded by flowers. As the mural committee discussed changes, Ramirez shifted his idea to showcasing 4 women of color that are part of Marquette's community. Ramirez's aim of this mural on campus is to show diversity, richness, and complexity of our community and reflect on our current cultural moment. And Jackie Black of the Office of Institutional Diversity and Inclusion shared that Marquette's goals of the mural were to, quote, highlight that there is a shared responsibility for transformation, and then acknowledge the past, honor the present, and envision a hopeful and more just future. This paper seeks to take a critical look at Marquette's actions towards diversity and equality through a physical change on campus while creating through lines to a critical perspective on the state of Chicano art by Montoya and Montoya. This article addresses the issues in Chicano movements such as co-optation, capitalist distractions, and responsibilities of Chicano and Chicana artists. Overall, the mural was received very positively and added a color and warmth to the physical space of the campus environment. On the other hand, Marquette had encountered issue after issue from faculty, staff, and students in the larger Milwaukee communities surrounding the area that put a critical eye on Marquette's actions. While we may enjoy artistic changes to campus buildings, we should still hold Marquette accountable in areas where they lack sufficient change, support, and resources for members of its community. Montoya and Montoya presented compelling critiques within the Chicano movement and Chicano art discussion that apply to current social justice activism. Their argument focused on the pressures to survive and thrive in a capitalistic system while still having the responsibility to educate and fight against oppression. The artist has the opportunity to use art as a social tool of struggle to unify and inspire Chicano communities. However, the U.S.'s embeddedness of every individual into capitalism often leads to distraction from the original movement's purpose. Montoya and Montoya are explicitly worried about institutions' attempts to pacify social movements' ideas and co-opting into accepting superficial progress action. The article suggests, quote, many murals that are going up in communities today are mere decorations contracted by a system that would like to see them remain that way. It wants the walls in the communities to be used for therapeutic art to hide the ugliness of the conditions. End quote. Despite the article speaking directly to Chicano art, it can be extended to issues at Marquette today. The mural on campus promotes diversity of representation and a welcoming environment to students of color. However, a mural cannot change the day-to-day experiences of alienation or the general felt climate of Marquette protecting some students, namely white students, above others. An image of women of color does not replace institutional changes that are still needed to support the very women pictured in the mural. Because the mural is a directly visible change to campus, it can be easy to celebrate and praise Marquette for such choices. But the changes we do not physically see must be recognized as well as the shift from the university undeclaring their Hispanic serving institution title. So what real tangible changes would students feel when they see an image of themselves or representation of themselves on a wall, but less students of color in the classroom? Will they feel inspired or will they feel just as an image to Marquette? It is not the intention of my research to entirely disqualify Marquette or the mural project from having any positive outcomes. Sharing critique helps acknowledge how Marquette is a part of larger issues of control and oppression. One of my professors had shared with me that some other criticisms of this mural on campus were using the abstract design itself as contributing to the erasure of identity, and that the artist was not a Milwaukee born and raised resident. The selection process of artists for the mural were all Milwaukee locals, while Marquette did not define what local meant, but some community members felt that Ramirez was not the best choice to include in the selection process. He was born in Berwyn, went to school in Illinois, and now has a studio in Milwaukee and has completed multiple projects across the city. It is true that the mural committee could have chosen immediate local residents of Milwaukee, considering that part of the mural's purpose was to acknowledge past underrepresentation. Having Milwaukee-specific artists could have had interesting effects and an entirely different mural to engage with. Ramirez calls Milwaukee home and certainly acts towards community identity, culture, and diversity with his murals, but perhaps there should be recognition of a Milwaukee-based identity and what particular textures that experience has among the communities here. The video seminar for Our Roots Say That We're Sisters mural had the artist and two of the models focused on more of the positive effects of the mural as opposed to a critical forum for discussions. So through that, I have no direct conversation to reference or dialogue that shares what the artists and those involved in the mural have to say about those criticisms. Instead, I want to address these criticisms through an article in Chicano and Chicana Art, a critical anthology that examines evolving art forms, identity, and situatedness of experience. First, I think it's necessary to note that I do not have a full understanding of art history or the complicated relationships between art form, artist, and colonialism. So because of that, I think I give more of a benefit of the doubt to Mauricio Ramirez's choice in using abstract geometric design in his murals. His first proposal of the mural included two abstract women, but after his proposal was chosen, he worked with the community members to make the mural more personalized to Marquette, to include 4 specific women that have gone or are planning to be students here. Even though the design remained geometric, which has become Ramirez's personal art style, the mural depicts actual representations of the students and alumni at Marquette. The critique of his art style having a colonizing function through erasing facial features of people that have historically little representation at Marquette is a valid one. And we should take into consideration how art and artists evolve their work for themselves, their identity, and community involvement. In Response, Another Opinion on the State of Chicano Art by Shifra Goldman, she addresses the limits of labeling something Chicano art or Chicano artist, as if it is simply through identity, age, or art style. Where the Montoya article argued Chicano artists using contemporary art styles would legitimize those very styles institutionalized by Anglos, Goldman refutes this by thinking using new art form or whatever is available can evolve into new content or new visions of the Chicano experience. I suggest that we engage in these ideas about evolving forms and technologies when thinking about Ramirez's style as well. Art should not be stagnant or cut off from the context it is made in, but conversations with the artist over time, I think, will reveal if and how this art style empowers or hinders those it depicts. Thank you.